It all started on a warm Saturday morning when Daniel noticed something strange parked near his barn, a shiny silver SUV sitting right in the middle of his farmland driveway. At first, he thought it belonged to a visitor or a lost traveler. But then he saw the HOA sticker on the windshield. His heart sank. That sticker meant only one thing: trouble. Daniel lived just outside the HOA boundary line, free from their endless rules and power games. But the HOA members, especially one woman named Karen, had always treated him like an outsider. She believed the community's standards should apply to everyone within sight of their neighborhood, even those outside it. As Daniel approached the SUV, he noticed tire marks cutting through his freshly seeded soil. His farm was his pride, his legacy, something he had built with his late father's hands. And now, someone from that HOA had just disrespected it without a second thought. He took a deep breath and decided to knock on a few doors in the nearby HOA homes to find out whose car it was. That's when Karen appeared, arms crossed, sunglasses on, wearing that smug smile he knew too well. "Oh, that's my car," she said casually. "There wasn't enough parking in the HOA lot. You don't mind, do you? It's just a farm road." Daniel clenched his jaw but stayed calm. "Actually, I do mind," he replied. "This is private property." Karen laughed. "You're not even in the HOA. You should be grateful your land looks better because of us." Her words stung. Daniel didn't know it yet, but that single arrogant comment would start a chain of events that would shake the entire community and lead to the most unexpected twist of his life. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He kept picturing the tire marks across his field, the way Karen smirked as if she owned the place. The HOA had pushed before, complaining about his tractor noise, his fence color, even his mailbox, but this time, it felt different. It was personal. The next morning, he walked to the barn with a new resolve. He wasn't going to let them trample over his rights anymore. He placed fresh private property signs along the fence line and even installed a small security camera near the entrance. He thought it would be enough, but by afternoon, Karen's SUV was back. Same spot. This time, Daniel didn't knock on doors. He called the tow company directly. "Are you sure it's not part of the HOA zone?" The driver asked. "Absolutely," Daniel said firmly. "This is my land, and I have the deeds to prove it." Minutes later, the tow truck arrived, its metal hooks clinking as it latched onto the shiny SUV. Karen came running from across the street, yelling, "You can't do this. I'm calling the HOA president." Daniel stayed calm. "You're free to call whoever you want, Karen. But this is private property, and your car's leaving today." As the tow truck pulled away, Karen stood there in shock. Neighbors peeked through curtains. Some even smiled quietly. For the first time, Daniel felt a small victory, but he didn't realize how far Karen would go for revenge. The next morning, Daniel woke to find an envelope taped to his gate. The bold HOA logo glared at him. Inside was a notice of violation. The letter accused him of disrupting community harmony and violating shared parking agreements. He laughed bitterly. He wasn't even part of the HOA. But as he read further, his smile faded. The letter threatened to report him to the county zoning board, claiming his farm entrance was unsafe and non-compliant. It was Karen's doing. She had connections in the HOA, and now she was using every rule she could twist against him. Daniel went to the HOA office that afternoon, determined to clear things up. "This is harassment," he told the board. "You have no authority over my land." Karen sat at the end of the table, smirking. "Maybe not directly," she said, "but your driveway crosses the HOA's visual boundary. We can take that to the county." The other members looked uneasy, but Karen's confidence made them silent. Daniel walked out furious but not defeated. He decided to fight smart, not angry. That night, he gathered every property record, satellite photo, and legal paper proving his land was separate. He didn't know it yet, but the truth he found in those papers would soon turn the entire HOA upside down. As Daniel dug through old county maps, he discovered something shocking: the HOA's boundary line had been illegally expanded years ago. The farmland section, including his driveway, was never part of their legal property. It was his entirely. He realized Karen and a few board members had quietly redrawn maps to gain more control of nearby landowners. The deeper he dug, the clearer it became they had been abusing their power for years. The next morning, Daniel filed an official complaint with the county. He included every document and a video from his security camera showing the SUV trespassing. 2 days later, an inspector arrived. Karen's smug smile vanished when she saw the county official walking with Daniel. "We've received some concerning reports," the inspector said politely. "We'll be reviewing property lines and legal claims." Karen tried to argue, but the inspector interrupted. "Until further notice, HOA jurisdiction over this property is suspended." Neighbors started whispering. For the first time, people were questioning Karen's authority. Daniel didn't celebrate yet. He knew Karen wouldn't stop easily. But now, the truth was on his side, and soon, justice would be too. Days turned into weeks. The county's investigation deepened. Daniel stayed patient, documenting everything. One afternoon, a county officer called. "Mr. Grant," he said, "we've reviewed your case. You were right. The HOA has been operating outside their legal boundary." Relief washed over Daniel. The officer continued, "You're not responsible for any HOA claims or fines. And as for the towing incident, you acted within your rights." When the news spread, Karen lost her composure. She stormed over to Daniel's gate, shouting, "You think you've won? The HOA isn't done with you." Daniel simply smiled. "I don't need to win, Karen. I just need the truth." A week later, an official letter from the county arrived, declaring that the HOA's boundary would be reverted to its original lines. That meant dozens of claimed properties were no longer under HOA control. The once powerful HOA board was suddenly facing scrutiny from the community they had ruled over for years. Daniel didn't gloat. He just stood on his porch, looking at the land he loved, finally free. The county audit revealed everything: illegal expansions, forged maps, and unapproved HOA dues. Karen was removed from the board. The HOA's president resigned in shame. Neighbors began visiting Daniel's farm, apologizing for how they'd stayed silent. "You just showed us what real strength looks like," one of them said. For Daniel, it wasn't about revenge, it was about respect. He rebuilt the damaged part of his field and painted a new wooden sign at the entrance: "Private property, respect grows here." Ironically, the same SUV Karen had parked on his land was now up for auction. HOA funds had dried up, and she had to sell it to pay fines. Life grew peaceful again. But Daniel never forgot how one careless act of arrogance had exposed an entire system of corruption. Sometimes, it just takes one moment, one person standing firm, to bring down a giant. Months later, a new community meeting was held. Without Karen and her influence, the HOA voted to dissolve completely. The land that once symbolized control was now open for independent homeowners. Daniel attended, not out of spite, but closure. The new chairperson thanked him for bringing truth to light. "Your patience and integrity reminded us what real community means." As Daniel walked home, he looked out over his farm. The crops had flourished, the grass greener than ever. The place that started all the conflict was now a symbol of peace. He smiled softly. Sometimes the greatest justice isn't about punishment, it's about restoring balance. The same neighbors who once avoided him now waved with gratitude. For the first time in years, the neighborhood felt united, not divided. Daniel stood by the fence, remembering his father's words: "Land isn't just soil, it's the story of who you are." And that story had finally found its ending, and that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you loved the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.